Hello. Let me welcome on stage from my right Mr. Burak Dağlıoğlu, President of Investment and Finance, Office of the Presidency of Republic of Turkey. Mr. Timothy Rowe, Founder and Executive Chair, Cambridge Innovation Center. Welcome. Mr. Mohammed Al Emadi, Executive Director of Investment and Incubation at Qatar Development Bank. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Mr. Burak. Why Turkey is the next hub and investment attraction? Considering that you made like a merger last year, merging the finance and investment offices in Turkey, and how this consolidated entity streamline the exposure of international investors and tech startups looking to enter the Turkish market.
So thank you. Excited to be here in Doha. And why Turkey? First of all, we have strong fundamentals. It's a high growth country. It's a resilient economy. We have talent pool. It is 85 million population and half of the population is under the age of 34. And maybe more importantly, our geographic location. We are at the nexus of Europe, Asia, and Asia, Africa and Asia. And then we have a super connected economy. So we believe that these are the boosting factors for the startups. For the merger of two offices, actually this is not a very administrative issue. It is to serve our clients in the best way, to serve them most effectively.
Just out of curiosity, people might ask, is your mandate different from the minister's?
Yeah, our mandate is to facilitate all capital inflows to the country, to help investors and definitely technology startups to have a better experience of starting and growing their business in Turkey.
Okay, so I'll jump to Mr. Mohammed Al because I asked why Turkey. I should ask why Qatar. I know we all say that it's not a zero-sum game to become hubs. I mean, Dubai, Qatar, and Turkey, Riyadh, all of them. So it's there is a room for all. So why Qatar, and what's your role as Qatar Development Bank in this flywheel?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to Qatar to the third edition of the WebSummit. This event today became a magnet for entrepreneurs, startups, and investors in the region. We've been witnessing the growth of the attendance of the Web Summit over the last few years. And I think also the quality of the startups and the number of investors are increasing every year. And I'll start with that as a testament of Qatar's position as a regional hub when it comes to technology, investments, and innovation. And if you look at what Qatar did over the last few years, I think we have laid down a very clear strategic objectives when it comes to innovation, boosting investments in startups, but also encouraging the private sector and international investors to be part of the scene. And this started when we laid down the foundation of the third national strategy. And within that strategy, we didn't put a strategy and stayed silent. We built also the right institutions, coupled with the right policies and incentives to ensure that whatever we put in that document as an objective for 2030 is delivered through the right institution and the right tools and investments. In terms of Qatar's position on the region, I don't see Qatar kind of competing with its peers on the region. I think we're blessed on the region to have a very complementing ecosystem with our peers, with our neighbors. And if you look at where we are positioned geographically, we're 7 hours away from the east and the west. And we're in a very young geographical location in terms of population, highly educated. So you have the entire ingredients. When you put them together, you couple them with the strategy and with the right tools that I just highlighted, you have the perfect ingredients for Qatar to be positioned as a regional hub. And actually, we were just discussing, me and Tim, I mean, he's flying tonight to Saudi and coming back again to Qatar to continue his meetings. So that connectivity is an added point, and I don't see it as a competition.
Great. So, Tim, back to you. Tell us more about Cambridge Innovation Center, CIC, and how, from your experience working in several countries so far, how can Qatar and Turkey and other countries in the region can, learn the lessons you have already learned from CIC?
Thank you. So Cambridge Innovation Center built the world's largest so-called innovation hub. Think of it as a number of buildings next to MIT and Cambridge, Massachusetts, that collectively is about 60,000 square meters, with laboratories for life sciences, robotics, and so forth. And collectively, I think it's now like 1,200 startups, something like that. We then started building similar facilities elsewhere in the world, and we have recently built the largest innovation hub in Japan, the largest innovation hub in Germany, and also Poland and the Netherlands. So we build these centers for entrepreneurship. What it gives us is a perspective on what's causing these companies to grow and what's causing companies to move to another country. In Japan, for instance, about 40% of the companies in our hub are from outside Japan. Same thing in the United States. So companies are growing, they're expanding around the world, they're landing in these kind of central locations, and they're making choices about where to go. Which countries offer them what they need, which countries offer them the talent that they need, the stable business environment, stability being very important, we were just talking about that, the markets that they need. So I think a decade ago we were not looking at the Gulf in the same way that we are today. We didn't see the same level of stability, we didn't see the same level of growth. This area now, extending all the way up to Turkey, is just becoming one of the most dynamic parts of the world economically. And we're seeing better and better integration as well. One of the really exciting announcements from Qatar and Saudi Arabia recently that we just talked about is the high-speed rail, which is going to be built from the Doha airport straight to the Riyadh airport, creating a kind of a backbone between these cities that makes this region operate more as a complete, functional, integrated region than the separate countries that it has been in the past. We see data now that show that more millionaires are moving to the Gulf countries than any other part of the world. The massive movement, or migration, if you will, of millionaires. Who are millionaires? They're people who are investors, they're entrepreneurs, they're CEOs. This is the part of the world that they most want to move to. The US is a distant second now in that race.
Our university is still lagging behind in this, being also hubs to produce startups and companies. From your experience, what do we need in this region to foster this?
Yeah, so I think universities takes decades to build to the strength that some of the universities, for instance, in the United States and the UK have. And I think that the investments are being made. There are a few universities in this region now that are starting to hire some of the top academics that maybe you would not have expected to come to this region in the past. But I think what you're also seeing with the pace of change is that it's a little less university-centric than it used to be. For instance, if you take the AI revolution, certainly you have researchers that are doing important work in the top universities. The companies are really moving at breakneck pace, really outside the university environment.
Great. So, Mr. Burak, a question about foreign direct investments. You have a strategy from 2024-2028, prioritizes digital and green transformation. Tell us more how these policies are being used to attract high-value technology investments, startups, and so on.
So, what those entrepreneurs are doing are they are bringing solutions for those challenges. And for us and for many countries, digitalization and the green transformation are major challenges. And in our strategy, we are supporting both startups and more corporate structures to contribute to transformation of the country. And in the recent years, we attracted a certain number of projects in those verticals. And we believe that Turkey is one of the leading countries in both digital and green transformation. So We have a huge industrial basis, and those industrial businesses are supported by services industries. So it's a very wide spectrum. So for founders, for startups, for investors, I think there are ample opportunities in the market.
And how about, I mean, this question, I assume everyone might ask about the reputation of fluctuation of the currency in Turkey and inflation, something?
Yeah, these are some current macroeconomic challenges that we are aware of, and now it is on track. Inflation is on a downward path. But we believe that especially for the direct investors into especially the tech ecosystem, I think these are not very, affected by those fluctuations because we have very, strong fundamentals, and good investment into a good startup can, outbeat all those, fluctuations.
So this
and
is
there are some good, solid examples of it.
Mostly people who are looking for long-term investments. Yeah, so they will come. So, Mr. Al Emadi, can you tell us about the QDB 360 approach? This is part of your strategies for incubation and VC investment. Tell us more about this approach.
Yeah, look, today QDB plays a very important role as a catalyst for the private sector in general. So we focus on 3 key pillars. The first one, and I'll come back to it, which is the innovation support, which is very much relevant to the context of this discussion today, the local enterprise development and the export development support. So, and if you look at what we do within these 3 pillars, we support the businesses from the idea to putting it on the international markets, and as I like to call it, putting it on the shelves of the international markets. And throughout the journey of the companies, SMEs, the startups, and the entrepreneurs, there are a lot of services that are provided. If you look at what we do in the venture capital and the incubation part of the business, we run the venture capital fund of QDB, which is the largest VC fund led by the government. Yesterday also we had very exciting announcements by His Excellency the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs about expanding our investment program to cope up with the demand that we've witnessed. QDB also today runs the Startup Qatar Investment Program. I would say this program became a flagship program on the region. And within that, we're focusing on attracting investments from different countries on technology specifically. So far, we've received more than 6,000 applications. We've invested in around 40 companies, and we've committed capital of around 40 or 45 million dollars. Now, all these commitments, I think, are a testament of what we can provide on QDB. The second part of our business is supporting those businesses when they kind of localized in Qatar. So we work very closely with different agencies and entities in Qatar and helping those companies settling, getting the right license, and expand in Qatar through the market access and the local enterprise development pillar that I just highlighted. And then finally, we support them with the export development because we also run the export development finance and promotion agency of the country, and we run the export credit agency of the country that provides different funding and financing services to the exporters. So if you look at what we provide, it's actually a 360 bundle of support to our startups and SMEs in Qatar. Our focus today became to the companies that are actually registered in Qatar or companies that wish to establish a presence in Qatar.
Great, thank you. So, Mr. Tim, because you have thousands of companies you have engaged with, all of them from this CIC as physical innovation campuses. So, how essential is the physical in the increasingly complex world, and do we need to stick to this model, or we are going to change it to a digital model?
It's a really terrific question. Basically, the question is, does place matter anymore? Can we all just be on video connections and communicate by WhatsApp with each other and do business? And the data shows that the physical connection is essential. Most of the CEOs of the big corporations in the United States that are at the top of the value list are saying now that they want their employees to come back into the offices. There was a study done at MIT looking at when professors collaborate with each other to issue a scientific paper. And what they found was that if you're over about 700 meters between your offices, there is zero collaboration. And from that point up, it's a very steep curve, so that if you're about within 100 meters, then you publish a lot of papers together. Basically what's happening is people only really collaborate with people that they see a lot and that they build relationships with. If you can find a way to build close, deep relationships with people across the world, then you're okay, you can collaborate. But the reality is most of us collaborate with people we see every day, and so physical still matters. And so for a country, what you need to do is create a place where you're going to concentrate your best and your brightest. One of the things that we've learned about economic development, and this is not a fun fact, but it's a real fact, is that almost all of your economic growth as a country is going to come from your top 2% of entrepreneurs. It's your Elon Musks and your Mark Zuckerbergs and your Bill Gates and these people. In terms of the numbers of jobs they create, the dollars of export value they create, it's really just a very small number of companies. So the strategy really is to build an incredible physical place in the middle of your country that's gorgeous, where people from all over the world want to be there, and you try to attract those top 2% entrepreneurs from around the world and your own top 2% entrepreneurs and put them close together so they collaborate.
One or two sentences from each one of you to the audience of the Web Summit as entrepreneurs and investors, media people. What are you going to tell them?
So from where Tim left off, collaboration is important. I think this is why we gathered here, and I would like to thank our host and country, Qatar. You are representing Qatar now. I think their Fund of Fund program is working very well because even Turkish startups are getting investment from those venture capital funds who got those very well-known LPs, and QDB is also investing. I think this is quite crucial. I mean, today's world, success is not a solo game. We have to collaborate together. I think regionalization is important. Creating networks, on an overseas level is important. Because of that reason, we are working with Tim and his team as the country, and I wish to, continue such kind of events.
Tim?
I will echo the thanks to Qatar. What a beautiful country this is, how quickly it's grown. I tell my colleagues back in the United States, the lifestyle that you can have here just blows away the lifestyle that we can have. I think if you can leverage that to convince more of those really capable entrepreneurs from around the world to start building here, you're going to have incredible success.
Yeah, thank you, Tim and Burak, and I work with both of them. So we have within our program we have a lot of companies that we invested in from Turkey, and they are enjoying the infrastructure in Qatar. We've been discussing also with Tim a lot of ideas of what we can do in creating the physical infrastructure, because we think that today the digital infrastructure and the Startup Qatar Investment Program has been a great success. So how can we replicate this on a digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure? But I think one of the topics that we're discussing, me and Tim, I think this region today enjoys, as I highlighted, the young population, the great educational infrastructure, which produces a lot of talents. But we also, I think in today's era, we enjoy governments on the region that operates with high predictability when it comes to policies, framework, and investment protection, which we very much need in today's era. And I think we're also blessed that regardless of the turmoil around the region, in the countries we're always kind of isolated, and we feel high level of stability and safety. And I think these are important components for any investments or investors who want to tap into a new market. And also a message perhaps to the startups and to the entrepreneurs. I think whenever you start a business, this is what I always tell my portfolio companies, think global. I mean, we're blessed that we're operating on the startup space in the digital sector, so cross-border business became easier than ever within that sector.
Thank you. Thank you. With this, we end up. Thank you all. Thank you.